This video is going to cover making staircases in Revit. It's going to go through, first we're going to go through how to make a stair by run, and then we'll talk about making a stair by sketch, and then we'll talk about how to edit these stairs in different ways and edit their actual types. So the simplest way to make a stair is to go to the Architecture tab, go to Stair, and right now we are going to make a stair by run. So we're not going to sketch it, we're going to just make it go from the first level to the second level. So before you even start drawing, it's good to check and see what you're drawing. So this one's going to go from level 1 to level 2, so that's a total of 12 feet. And based on this assembled stair type and its rise and run, which are set up right here, 7 and 11, which is pretty standard for institutional use. You can go a little higher than 7 in residential, and you can go only 10 inches in residential, but for institutional use this works. So we're going to leave it at that. If we change this, it's going to change the number of desired risers that are needed. So let's leave it like this for now, and let's start to draw the staircase. So in drawing it, it knows that you want to go up 12 feet, so it's doing the calculation for it. So as soon as you start drawing, you can see it ghosts in how long you have to draw it in order for it to get to 12 feet. So right now, if I get all the way here, you can see it says 0 remaining risers. So if I click, it makes that staircase. And if I go to a 3D view, you can see it's still being edited, so it doesn't have its handrails yet. But you can see that this is what it has built. And if you finish it, it should finish with railings. And these are the terrible pickets that Revit always gives every staircase ever. So that is the simplest way to create a staircase here. So I just want to take you through some other steps on making a run staircase, especially one that might have a landing in it or turn around on itself. So let's just section box this down so we can rotate better. So right next to this I'll make another staircase. So same process. Architecture, stair. Also, when you do by run, it automatically picks the width out of the stair type. So there's the minimum run width. We can always change that later, and I'll show you how to. But for now, let's leave it at 3 feet. Let's say we needed a landing, or the stair comes back on itself. You can click and go as many rises as you can. Let's say we do 11 that way, and then we can move parallel and make some more. And you can see what it's trying to do. It tries to finish the riser, or tries to finish the landing. And if you need to edit anything, you can just drag and move pieces of this, and it should update. Hit finish, and look at it in 3D, see what we have. You also might find sometimes when you draw the stair, it draws it backwards from where you actually wanted it. As with most things in Revit, after you've drawn it, you can click on it and say you want to edit it. So, edit stairs. If this is drawn reverse of what we actually want, I can just click flip stairs, and it flips it around. We could do the same thing with this one. Edit and flip. And it has reversed. So that is a very basic way of setting up stairs. So let's say we wanted to change the type of the staircase. What you can do is the generic one that comes with Revit is assembled stairs, and this is a system family. So that means it's not a family you can load in, it's just a family you can edit. So let's edit the type and duplicate it. So let's say this is a wider one. Let's say this is 4 feet wide instead of a 3 foot wide stair. So then I can edit one of the types here and hit OK. It gets a little upset, but it updates. It should update its width. So let me see. It might need me to move this away from it a little bit so that it updates its width properly. change it right there. Alright, so it's changing each landing individually. So I got to click on them and change its actual run width. Because since we've already drawn it, I guess, it is upset with changing it. So we have to come in and change it manually by clicking on each stair run and changing its actual run width. You can also swap between different stair types in here. So let's say the other built-in ones is a monolithic stair. This would be if you're making the entire piece out of concrete. And all it's really doing is it's changing the makeup of the stair in here. So the construction of the stair, you can click on these nosings and you can actually come in and edit the nosing. So right now it's using an actual nosing profile to come up with the stair, and it's calling out what the material is. But you can always change these. I'm going to leave that alone. But same thing with if we went back to the assembled stair. This stair has a stringer that runs up the sides. We can edit this stringer by selecting the stair type, edit type, and we can look at the stringers and see what we have. We can also come here to the right support and see what other profiles we have loaded in the project. And this is where you can really start changing the way that your stair is built. So I can look at using a C-shape profile, which is a piece of steel, and load it into the project. So let's update this. And it actually put it on backwards. So that's why it has that setting to flip the profile. So and you can always change this type so that we're not changing it wherever. I actually just changed it everywhere where this is 2-inch stringer, but you can duplicate it and change it to a C shape. And we would want to flip this profile because that's not actually how you would put the C shape on here. There we go. So it just changed the one type because I didn't change the profile type on both. So when I'm in here, I'm going to make sure I switch both my stringer types and switch them both to the C shape. And now you can see that my shapes are being supported by a piece of steel around the end. What I should do is go back and fix this standard one to be the default. Where the other staircase gets its fat, boxed out stringers back. Okay, so that is the run-based stair process. Now let's say we wanted to design a curved stair or something more complex. That is when you need to start doing a stair by sketch. And there's a couple different ways to do it. You can start the entire stair by sketch. Or let's say I wanted this staircase, this shape, but I want it to flare out at the bottom. You can also convert stairs made by run into sketch. So let's click on this and hit edit stairs. And if I click on this stair, you'll see that this setting up here, convert, is over here. So if I click, and once you do it, you can't go back to a stair by run. You're going to be a sketch-based stair. So that's what it's warning us here. So let's edit the sketch. And this is, I'll draw one from scratch too, but this gives you a good example of what a stair by sketch is. You draw each of the risers. There are these black lines. You have to draw a blue line that crosses all of the risers. That's the run. And then you have to draw the boundaries, which are only on the edges and are encapsulated by the risers, so the top one and the bottom. So let's say we wanted the stair to flare out on one side. I would be changing its boundary line, and I would be making it an arc, I guess. Make it flare out a little bit. So you can see in plan, how it's moving. Now I can make this a little more dramatic. That was a pretty weak little curve. Okay, so let's say that is what we want our new boundary to be. We can delete this old boundary, and then what I'm going to do is extend multiple to this new boundary. And I have to make sure every one of these risers touches it. If they don't touch it, it gets upset and it doesn't work. But if I do that and hit finish, then my stair updates, and you can see, and now I have a curving stringer along there. Finish the stair. So now we are looking to do a sketch-based stair from scratch. Alright, to do that, it's the same thing as before. Come to the Architecture tab, Stair. Again, same properties over here. It's actually following an assembled stair type. The only difference is the riser matters, but not the tread depth, because you are technically going to be drawing all of the treads. So if I look at it from above, instead of clicking on Run here, I'm going to click on Sketch, and it takes me to my Sketch tools. And then what we want to do is draw the boundaries of what we want to draw. So let's say this staircase has a curve on each side, kind of like this. We can mirror it in the middle, like that. So that is the boundary of our stair. Now we want to draw our risers. So what I'm going to do, and if I'm in a plan mode, let me jump to a plan. When you're in a plan, it actually tells you how much you need. I was drawing in a 3D view looking down, but if you're in a plan, it'll say how many risers you have and how many you need. So I have 1, and I need 20 more. So what we can do is we can copy multiple, and I could start copying every 1 foot so that we start to get, well, we don't want to overlap them. That's bad. So we could start to do is have a staircase, a tread that is 1 foot deep all the way up. And I can even start copying these too. Alright, 8 remaining. I didn't draw these boundaries long enough. So let me just draw all the steps I need first. And I'll redraw my boundaries. I just need 2 more. Alright, so I'm going to delete my boundaries again and then redraw them, but what I want to kind of do is add in a landing in the middle. So let's add in a landing. I just move in those, and then I'm going to come back to my boundary, select it, draw it in there. And then same thing, I'm going to do extend multiple, and we're going to cut these off at the boundaries. Same thing on the other side. This is where I really miss AutoCAD's trim with fence command. It would be a lot faster if I can select all of those at once. Alright, so we have a landing and we have treads. We just need to draw the stair path. And we normally want that to cross every single one of the risers. And you can see I drew the landing just like it was another step. So I hit finish for the sketch. It hasn't finished the stair yet, but you can kind of see what we have. And hit finish. And you're going to see an error with the stringers and the handrails. And I'll tell you how to fix that. See how the stringer keeps going at the same way up? And so does the railing, and it doesn't necessarily follow the steps. That's something weird that happens when you draw in Sketch, but the way to fix it is in plan, we're going to edit this stair again. And we're going to edit it. Edit it sketch. And right where there's a break, we're going to actually cut the boundary line. So right at that intersection, we cut it right there. Same thing, we cut it there. We cut it where the landing is making a break. Now, if I finish this, when we go back in 3D, it should at least fix the stringers. It actually fixed the railings too. Okay. So it fixed both of them. If it does not fix the railings on you, I'm not positive it fixed the railings. They're jumping up a little farther back. So what I'm going to do is the same thing. Go back to level 1 with that railing selected, and I'm going to say edit the path. Alright, so the railing is as correct as it can be. You cut the railing the same way that you cut the stringer, and this is already cut. So you can make additional breaks if you need to help it restart itself. But that's just a little trick to start to get this thing to work properly. It takes a little while to get it all correct, but that's how you can correct the stringer and the railing problem if it continues straight and doesn't actually follow a landing you've built in. Let's say that you don't like the defaults that come with Revit, but you might not know how to edit staircases very well, or railings. What you can do is you can actually download seed files of other staircases, even from Autodesk. They're knowledge base. You can download sample staircases and sample railings. And they look something like this. There would be a file filled with different staircases of different arrangements. And you can have all those settings. Now, they're not families that you can load in because they're system families. So the way you get a system family from one place to another is, let's say I want this staircase. I want the, if I click on this, the assemble stair residential open riser middle stringer. I can Control C it or come up here, Control and copy, and jump back to my project and paste it. Paste it somewhere in here, and then I can immediately delete it. And now what that does is it brings those settings into the project. So now when I flip down here, you'll see that there's an open riser middle stringer. See if it'll work with this shape. There. And just like that, I have a very different staircase. You can also even use your match properties tools with staircases. You go modify, match properties, say I like this one and I would like it to be here. And it changes. So since these are residential, they're actually changing their slope a little bit because I believe the settings of this staircase are different. Yeah, you can see this has a shorter tread depth and a higher maximum riser height. So it's automatically adjusting to that. So be careful of that when you bring in the staircase. You can always edit it to be your rise and run that you need in your project. Same thing goes with railings. You can load in a railing file, and you can poke through and perhaps find a railing to your liking. It could be anything from a simple tube to a glass, an all glass railing. Let's say we want something like this. Commercial glass with fixings. I can Control C it or click on copy, jump back to my stair file, paste. And again, it can be deleted immediately, or while it's still here, I can type MA for match properties, click on it, and click on the railing I want to change them. And you can very quickly change the parameters of your stair. Once you've drawn up your parametric stair and it has all the correct properties, you can then come back and easily make changes to it. And that's it for the quick run through of staircases, and very quick run through of staircases and railings.